control.
No, Daddy. No. Something like this. Command control.
Residents of Radiant City, temperature today is a volume of 773.
Command Control presents Hardwire Heartache, Synthetic Love Stories, Episode 8, Deluge. Sirens rang out in the streets as Birx and Mikey hurried to put distance between them and the messes they had left in their wake. Both of them had been silent and keeping their heads on a swivel, so much so they hadn't even addressed the elephant in the room. They slipped through alleyways with the only directions being far and fast. Mikey's mind raced as he snuck glances at Birx, and as if he could read Mikey's facial expression, he spoke without looking at him in a monotone cadence.
I know you ratted on us, and I know that's why Mizukawa has every mercenary and lowlife in this half of the galaxy trying to ice us.
I was just doing what I thought was best for us. You cut me out, Birx.
Look, Mikey, I'm gonna come clean with you about Sakanako. I knew Abira was gonna be on the docks because I planned on meeting her there.
It took Mikey a long moment to even process what he was hearing, and even then, he didn't know how to respond. Was it possible that he was just along for the ride? Birx seemed more fidgety than usual, and he kept looking at something out of the corner of his eye. But when Mikey followed his glance, he found nothing.
So what, you're just gonna leave it at that? Say more. I need this to make at least one stitch of fucking sense, Birx.
Hey, quit looking behind us. I think we're being followed.
Mikey instinctively did the exact opposite of what he was told and looked behind him, panicking.
Hey, keep it together, Mikey. Just keep moving, and I'll keep talking. I was meeting with Abira because she was supposed to be smuggling an illegal consciousness away from Mizukawa. He's planning to do terrible things with it.
So what, it's an AI? Why wouldn't you just fucking tell me instead of lying to me this whole time? And what the fuck does that have to do with me anyways?
Birx grabbed Mikey by the shoulders and pushed him down an alleyway, ducking into a kitchen where two tattooed Asian cooks were busily cooking for a line of hungry customers. They hollered at the intruders in what sounded like Japanese as Birx and Mikey ran through, disappearing out of the other side of the stall.
It is not an AI. It's a living consciousness, a slave inside a mind prison. I needed you to break the story and bring that bastard Mizukawa down once and for all.
Birx, take down Mizukawa? Nobody can take down Mizukawa. The guy is untouchable. Besides, no one cares about my reports. People do awful shit all the time, and nobody does anything about it. And honestly, it doesn't make any sense why you would get all of us mixed up into something so stupidly suicidal.
Birx fell silent and his eyes faced ahead in a 1,000-yard stare. Mikey had never seen Birx as hesitant as he was at that moment. Even more out of character, Birx stopped and faced Mikey, looking him dead in the eye as he spoke. He usually never took his eyes off his surroundings, even when he spoke.
It's Daphne, Mikey. It's a living copy of Daphne. Abira was smuggling it, all right? I don't know what happened or why she was in the state she was in when we found her, but I think that much data in her head probably scrambled her.
Mikey was dumbfounded. It seemed like Birx's explanation just kept opening up more questions than it answered. What did he mean it was Daphne? The answers paused as Birx stopped in his tracks. In front of them was a pink neon sign that said,
Electric Dream Theater. Wonder what that's all about. Maybe we can lose our tail in here. Come on.
Isaac watched as dazzling colors of gold and red danced manic patterns across the empty visage of Abira. She hadn't said a single word as she marched behind him, stomping and grabbing at her head as piece after piece of the black wall crumbled away. Memories violently flashed before her eyes in no specific order, falling back into their right places before Abira could even fully process them. At times she wept. Other times she was solemn and quiet, and sometimes she screamed as if her vision of reality and the universe was being challenged, and no doubt it was. As she stood in front of the extravagant casino that Isaac had led her to, she no longer looked as confident or rage-filled as she once was. She looked conflicted and vulnerable. Isaac couldn't help but smile at the humanity of it all. He opened his mouth to say something, but thought better of it and instead refocused on the task at hand.
This is the place. I'm not particularly well liked here. In fact, most of these guys want me dead. So just do me a favor and go along with what I say.
Abira's empty eyes looked from left to right as they landed on Isaac, squinting a moment in that look that, without words, still spoke loud and clear. She didn't trust him. Hell, maybe at this point she didn't trust anyone anymore.
Fine. But whatever it is you are afraid of in there, it's child's play compared to what I will do to you if you try to cross me.
Why is it that I always find myself traveling with people who are constantly threatening to kill me?
Isaac led Abira into a massive casino. It was impressive on the outside, but on the inside, it looked twice as large. Holograms of anthropomorphic amphibians danced on tiny stages around the casino floor, and images of creatures locked in combat splashed against every wall. Pink and blue neon pathways lit up to guide patrons along inky black floors that seemed to fall down into nothingness. Only a few seconds passed before a large amphibian hand clapped onto Isaac's shoulder and spun him around violently.
You'd better have a good reason for showing up here. Like a squid load of credits.
Squid load? No, Rallis, my friend. I brought something better than squid. Better than credits as well. I've brought you the most electrifying fighter in a generation.
Isaac motioned to Abira and Lawless. The towering salamander-looking creature leaned in and inspected the girl before scoffing in disbelief.
Huh. This puny thing? Huh. You'd better hope she can fight like a demon. Or you are finished.
Lawless shoved Isaac toward the direction of the back office, and Isaac's feet kicked into action as if he knew the way very well. In fact, he did know the place like the back of his hand. He'd been thrown out of every inch of this casino until his debts got so large that they no longer let him in at all. In fact, they had been sending collectors out after him for some time, but Isaac proved to be a supremely elusive target. As he now stood outside the boss's chambers, quietly shitting himself over what might happen next. Gold-accented double door swung open, and a frogman in flowing robes, a turquoise-colored cape and a crown of brilliant coral with precious jewels sat at a massive black desk. The Delugian stood up slowly, a look of distaste forming on his wide, neon green and black face.
Well, if it isn't my old friend Overnal, and I do put the emphasis on old friend, what lunacy would you bring to my parlor?
Ashika, I'd like you to meet Talok, the Delugian ambassador. And Talok, this is Ashika, a Kalishan assassin.
Isaac knew well enough to hide the true identity of the android, as well as her true nature. No one would bet against an android, but Abira being a Mark 7 meant she could pass as a human. The Kalashin are a race of humanoids that have been bred for the sole purpose of combat for thousands of years. The tactics included eugenics and a brutal routine that killed almost 90% of the initiates. This meant Kalashians were also incredibly rare and a hot commodity in the underground.
These are Delugians? I pictured something different.
And what did you expect? Living water balloons. By the by, what is a Kalashan assassin doing with this festering pile of fish offal?
The Delugian's throat puffed out to a size nearly as large as his head, and his amphibian eyes bore holes into the two of them while webbed fingers laced together in a neat little tent on the top of his desk.
She's come to help me regain my ship, so that she might return to Kalash.
Talik laughed a hearty laugh that turned into a loud croak before a deadly stillness took him over.
I do not believe you, Isaac Ovanov. Can this Kalashan not speak for herself?
This man tells me you have a ship, his ship, capable of space folding. I need it. So either I fight for it or I take it. Your choice.
Isaac rushed to try and stop Abira from getting them both killed. But to his and Lawless's surprise, Talik merely laughed once more, and his translucent pink tongue came out to lick one of his giant eyeballs before he spoke.
As confident as a killer should be. Then go on. What are your terms?
She fights the best fighter that you can throw at her. You could even give her a little test run to warm the crowd up. Really get the chips stacking. If she wins, she gets my ship. If she loses, you get me.
And what is in it for you should she win, Ovanov? You think I have forgotten how many credits you owe me? I shall have been a fool to give you passage to escape under these terms.
Isaac's face looked carved from stone as he stared back at Talik for a moment. He hadn't expected Talik to notice the little loophole. Nevertheless, his face went sour and nodded, once or twice as if he'd been caught.
I mean, it is going to be one of the greatest spectacles of the last decade. I'm sure you'll pull enough bets to cover the ship as well as my remaining debts.
There are not enough bettors in the entire universe to cover both of them, Ovanov. I will require new terms.
Talik smashed his webbed hand down on the desktop, and Abira flinched as a mist of water fell from the blackened ceiling of the office. Both Talik and Lawless leaned their heads back and received this moisture with great pleasure. Isaac didn't look pleased as he and Abira were also dampened, but he didn't look surprised. Talik, sighing with refreshment, set his eyes on the two of them once more.
That feels good. Oh, do relax, Kalash. It is merely purified water. We Delugians prefer to stay moist.
Talik thought for a short moment and nodded as he seemed to come to a conclusion in his own mind before letting the counteroffer become known.
I will agree to your previous terms on these grounds. The Kalash will fight a group of abominers to prove herself, and if she survives, she will face my champion and Fixico in a 2-on-2 match.
Isaac's eyes widened, and he was visibly taken aback by the new terms. The current champion was a beast of a man who made up for his lack of intelligence by being almost pornographically muscular. While Fixio was the one person he hadn't accounted for. Talik chuckled as he handed down what he thought was a death sentence to Afanov.
Kalish and Assassin versus Kalish and Assassin in the finals? We accept your terms.
Isaac eagerly offered his hand to shake on the agreement. He was so eager that Talik's head tilted back and his throat puffed out before he reached out and took his hand gingerly. As soon as the deal was made, Isaac grinned a slimy grin and nodded his head.
You must have a lot of faith in your Kalash to think she can protect you from two champions.
Well, I haven't got much chance of leaving here alive anyway, am I right? What other options do I really have?
Abira had been watching the two go back and forth as she slipped in and out of old memories still being restored. She was exhausted, and even though the flood of memories had been reduced to a proverbial trickling stream, she still grappled with the weight of it all as she experienced them as if it were for the first time. Isaac ushered her outside the casino, where he immediately drew a cigarette from his pocket and lit it. Inhaled greedily. He paced back and forth, mumbling to himself as if an argument was ensuing in his brain.
What are you doing? You should be spending your last moments alive more constructively.
Trying to think of the toughest person I know that doesn't want me as dead as Talik does. Don't suppose you have any suggestions?
Why are you looking for a tough person?
For the same reason I accepted the deal so quickly. Delugians always deal cautiously, which is why they never go back on a deal either. Their deal is airtight aside from the fact that they never said it was me who had to be your partner.
I guess weasels are smarter than I give them credit for.
Begging your pardon, but what is a weasel exactly?
It's a small earth mammal. It doesn't matter. None of this matters.
Fine. Be as pragmatic as you like, but you're not invincible. Especially with your head in defrag. You're gonna need someone to win this with. And trickery isn't going to get me very far against two men who have killed more people than cancer.
He was right. Abira knew that her chances of getting distracted and ending up in trouble were pretty high if she had to fight in her current condition. Her first thought was Mariko. But even if Abira wanted to believe that there was something other than blind loyalty inside her sister's programming, Mariko would still end up leading her and her sister straight back to Mizukawa. No way was she gonna risk it. The Varangian was a big boy, but odds were not good for him getting off that ship, and Abira didn't blame him. That only left. Birx ran his fingertips along the upholstery of a recently vandalized chair in the Dream Theater. He knelt down in front of the broken and sparkling diagnostics panel, and his eyes darted about the room, taking in every detail and formulating scenarios. Mikey stood at the entrance for a long while, catching his breath as he tried to mentally catch up to all the information he had heard. He shakily lit a cigarette and shakily inhaled.
Birx, why did Mizukawa have Daphne's consciousness?
Birx held his breath as Mikey asked the question. He briefly considered blowing it off until things cooled down. But after a moment of contemplation, he figured it was the best to say it straight.
Mikey, Daphne got sick. She was about to die, and there was nothing we could do about it. I mean, we went to every doctor in the damn galaxy, and they all said the same thing. She had maybe a week to live.
Please don't tell me she's another fucking android. Birx, I can't.
She's not an android. But I was at Mizukawa's workshop, entertaining the idea, when he told me that he had something better.
Mikey took a long drag off the cigarette as he listened to the story closely. Even though what he was hearing was confusing, his run-in with death seemed to have tempered his penchant for overreacting in stressful situations. Or maybe it was a figure standing out in the shadows that he had his eyes on the whole time.
He developed a way to extract a living consciousness from a human brain and transfer it into a microwave. And Christ.
Jesus, Birx.
Birx looked down at his hands silently. He just couldn't push out any more words as he relived the horror of it all in his memories.
I know.
Mercifully, before he could continue, a voice came over the Race Away team channel and played in both Mikey and Birx's ears. They both turned to each other as the voice began to speak.
Daniel, I remember the truth now. Come to this location. I've got a way to get us out of here. But I need your help.
Yeah, that sounds like a trap. Mizukawa probably already got to her.
Yeah, I kinda doubt it. Look, we've been looking for her for hours and we still have no leads, no options, and no time. Even if it is a trap, it's time to hike up your dress. We're about to walk through some shit.
Oh, I guess being old gives you a license to say rude shit, huh? I haven't worn a dress since homecoming.
Birx couldn't help but snort a puff of air out of his nostrils at Mikey's response. He shook his head slowly and then nodded once before responding to Abira.
Back on a first-name basis now, eh? We'll be there in 5. And Abira, don't fuck with me. I might be out of shape, but I can still shoot if I have to.
I'm counting on it.
Following the coordinates that Abira provided, Birx and Mikey cautiously slipped up to the casino and stood face to face with Abira and Afanov. They all looked at each other with mistrusting and scrutinizing gazes, aside from Isaac, who attached a smile to his mistrusting and scrutinizing. Abira took the lead, trying to keep it short and sweet, but was cut off immediately by Birx.
We got a tail. Might be one of Mizukawa's assassin droids.
With little more than a twinge of annoyance on her face, she pushed Birx aside and spoke commandingly.
Come out and face me.
Almost eagerly, the cloaked figure came out of the shadows, raising his hands in the air as he moved slowly into the light to reveal his identity. To everyone's surprise, it wasn't a foe at all, but Grell.
Grell, what are you doing here?
When I heard you had all split up, I couldn't bear the thought of you all alone in this dangerous place.
They all exchanged puzzled glances as Grell chose to save the most capable fighter and all-around badass of the group, before the old man and the reporter.
Mizukawa knows we are with the Varangian now. No matter where we go, he will find us. But we can win ourselves a ship that is just as powerful and give him the slip. We just have to do a bit of doubles pit fighting. Which is why I need you, Daniel.
What do you mean we? I don't know if you noticed, but I'm a little bit long in the tooth to be boxing aliens. Hey, who's this guy? Why can't he do it?
Isaac leaned back into the side as if he were avoiding Birx's finger point and raised his hands in the air, chuckling uneasily.
Isaac Afanov. A pleasure, I'm sure. I'm also sure you can see I'm much more of an intellectual than a pugilist, and you're probably the only burly creature in this city not trying to kill us.
Okay. Let me get this straight. So if you win, you get a ship. But what happens if you lose?
I will not lose. But for the sake of answering your question, if we lose, then they kill Isaac and they keep me.
Grell pushed his way past Afanov and the others to stand face to face with Abira, his eyes burning with intention and his face flush as he spoke as firmly as he could muster.
Abira, you don't have to do this. It's too dangerous. I'll take your place.
Grell, I think you are the sweetest man I have ever met. And I know you are not a fool. So why do you think you need to save me?
Because I made a choice when you first opened your eyes and whispered for me to help you, that I would protect you to the end.
Abira had all but forgotten their first meeting, the pain and confusion she was enduring as she shivered naked in his arms. But she could clearly remember the warmth coming from him as he held her, the care he displayed as he carefully dressed her, and his soft voice encouraging her.
I know when this is all over, you'll probably be on your way, but
Before Grell could finish his thought, Abira leaned in and pressed her lips to his. The anxiety and worry left him in an instant. His hands found her waist in spite of his own surprise. Abira allowed herself to be taken in by him. Her fingertips softly ran along his sharp jawline. Grell broke the kiss, looking hungrily into her eyes, and a gentle smile formed on Abira's lips.
Thank you for saving me and caring about me more than anyone ever has. But now it's my turn to save you.
Abira pecked at Grill's cheek and slipped away from him as she turned to Birx and looked him up and down. Birx shrugged and threw his long coat to Mikey as he rolled up his sleeves and took his blaster out of his shoulder holster.
No need to be a hero in there. Stay close and watch my back, and I will get us out of this.
Hey, you want to play one on me too? Just for good luck?
Abira and Birx stared at one another for a brief silent moment before they both busted out laughing. It was the first time any of them had heard Abira laugh in the entire time they'd been traveling with her. Not that there would have been a single time it would have even been appropriate.
Man, why do I have to hold his crap?
Well, it looks like Abira and Birx must band together to fight whatever horrors lie in front of them in the arena. With Mizukawa bearing down on them though, will they make it in time to escape? Find out next time on Hardwire Heartache, Episode 9, Combat.